The book of Joshua. It is a story of adventure, a story of a promise kept. God told his people, I have a place for you, a land flowing with milk and honey, a home after so many years of wandering. This book shows us God leading the way. He always keeps his word, always. Can you feel the excitement? Imagine standing at the edge of something new, something wonderful, promised by God himself. The Israelites felt this. Years in the desert were behind them. The land of Canaan lay ahead. God's hand had guided them. His love had sustained them. Now his power would lead them in. What a faithful God we serve. This journey was not just about land, it was about trust. It was about courage. It was about seeing God do amazing things. Joshua, their new leader, knew this. He had seen God's power before. Moses was gone, a giant of faith, the one who led them out of Egypt. Who could possibly fill his shoes? The people must have wondered. Perhaps Joshua wondered too, but God knew his plan. He always has a plan. He had prepared Joshua for this very moment. God spoke to Joshua directly. His words were clear, his voice a calming balm. Moses, my servant is dead, God said. Now then, you and all these people, get ready to cross the Jordan River, into the land I'm about to give them. God's timing is always perfect. A new chapter was beginning, a chapter of promise. Then came the command. A command filled with love. Be strong and courageous. God knew Joshua might feel small. He knew the task was huge. So, he gave him the secret. The book of Joshua is like a map, a divine blueprint. It shows us God's careful plan, step by step, promise by promise. It's not just a collection of stories, it's an organized account showing God's order and purpose. He is a God of detail. He cares about every part of the journey. The book unfolds in 4 main parts. First, Israel enters the land. Can you picture it? The mighty Jordan River parting, God making a way where there was no way, just as he did at the Red Sea. This was God saying, I am with you. The miracles are not over. A powerful start to their new life. Faith in action. Second, the conquest of Canaan. This part tells of battles. But more than that, it tells of God's power. Jericho's walls falling down, victories against strong enemies. Sometimes there were stumbles, like at Ai. Lessons learned about obedience. God fought for Israel. He gave them the land he promised. His strength made them conquerors. So many amazing moments. God's fingerprints are all over this book. First, the spies went to Jericho. They met Rahab, a woman of faith. She hid them, believing in their God. A small act of courage, a big display of God's grace. She and her family were saved. God uses unexpected people. He honors even a little faith. Then, the Jordan River. It was flood season, wide and rushing. How would they cross? God told the priests to step in, carrying the Ark of the Covenant. As their feet touched the water, the river stopped flowing. A wall of water on one side, dry ground for them to walk on. God makes paths through our biggest obstacles. And who can forget Jericho, those massive walls? God's instructions were unusual. March around the city, once a day for 6 days, 7 times on the 7th day. Section 5, Lessons from the Land, Themes and Teachings in Joshua. The book of Joshua is rich, full of lessons for our hearts. The biggest theme, God's faithfulness. He promised Abraham a land. Centuries later he delivered. God always keeps his promises. Even when we wait a long time, even when things look impossible, his word is true. You can count on it. He is faithful to you too. Obedience is another key. When Israel obeyed, they saw miracles. Jericho is the perfect example. When they disobeyed, like at Ai, they faced trouble. God wants our whole heart. He wants us to trust his ways, even when they don't make sense to us. His plans are always for our good. Obedience brings blessing. Courage shines brightly in Joshua. God told him, be strong and courageous, not just once, but many times. Section 6, A Foreshadowing of Hope, Joshua and Jesus Leaders to Rest. Did you know their names are linked? Joshua in Hebrew is Yehoshua. Jesus in Hebrew is Yeshua. Both names mean the Lord saves. Isn't that beautiful? God often gives us pictures, patterns of his love and plan. Joshua is one such picture, a foreshadowing of someone greater, someone who would bring ultimate salvation. Joshua led God's people. He led them into the promised land, a place of rest after long travels, a physical land, a tangible blessing. He fought their battles with God's help. He divided their inheritance. He was God's appointed leader, faithful and courageous. He brought them to a place of peace, a temporary earthly peace. Jesus, our Yeshua, does even more. He leads us to a greater promised land, not just a piece of earth but into spiritual rest with God, rest from sin, rest from striving, and one day into heaven itself, our eternal home. Jesus fought the ultimate battle against sin and death, and he won. He gives us an eternal inheritance. Both Joshua and Jesus call for faith. They call for obedience. Section 7 echoes in our hearts Joshua's message for today. The story of Joshua is old, but its message is fresh. It speaks to us right now in our busy modern lives. Do you ever face giants, problems that seem too big, fears that try to stop you? The Israelites faced giants in Canaan. God told them, "Do not fear." He is telling you the same. We all face walled cities, obstacles that look impossible, challenges at work, in families, in health. Remember Jericho? The walls seemed too strong. But God had a plan that required faith and obedience. He has a plan for your walls too. Trust him. Listen to his voice. He can make a way. The need for courage is timeless. Joshua's call to be strong and courageous is a call for every believer. Life can be scary sometimes. The unknown can be unsettling. But our courage doesn't come from us. It comes from his presence. Section 8. Living the legacy, trusting God in our modern wilderness. So, how do we live this Joshua legacy? How do we trust God in our own wilderness? It starts with small steps of faith. Each day we face choices, to trust God or to trust ourselves, to obey his word or follow the world. Joshua's story shows us, obedience to God brings blessing, even when it's hard, even when it doesn't make sense. Cultivate obedience in daily life. When you read his word, listen. What is he asking you to do? Maybe it's to forgive someone, or to be more patient, or to step out in faith in a new way. These small acts of obedience build a strong foundation. They prepare us for bigger challenges. They show God we trust him. Remember the tribes of Israel? They entered the land together. They fought together. They supported each other. We need community too. Section 9. The unwavering choice, a call to serve the Lord. The story of Joshua ends with a choice, a powerful, personal invitation. After all God had done, after leading them into the land, after showing his mighty power, Joshua stood before the people. His hair white with age, his heart full of love for God. He laid it out plainly for them, a choice they all had to make. He said, "Choose for yourselves this day whom you will serve." Joshua 24:15. Will you serve the gods of your ancestors, or the gods of the land around you? Those gods are lifeless, powerless. They cannot save. They cannot help. Or will you serve the Lord, the God who brought you out of slavery, the God who parted waters, the God who gave you this land? Then Joshua made his own declaration, a bold statement of faith. But as for me and my household, we will serve the Lord. What a powerful commitment, not just for himself, but for his whole family. This is the legacy he wanted to leave, a legacy of devotion, a legacy of unwavering faith. This same choice is before us today. Every day we choose.